All right, good day, family. A good day, people. I'm gonna talk to y'all about that whole thing. You know, when we say family, I'll do a separate video for that soon. I caught myself on that, so I'm gonna talk about that soon. But anyway, so glad to have you guys here and join us here on this broadcast, July the 4th, 2024. What you do with this day is completely up to you. Ain't nobody gonna hate on you. I'm not gonna sit up here and go do a long lament about how evil America is and why are you celebrating this day. And let me list the 200 reasons why you shouldn't be celebrating this day again. Every holiday is the same thing, right? I don't care what you do. You got a day off. Just make the most of it, whatever you do. And for most of y'all anyway, you know, some of y'all don't have a day off. You still, you know, you may be working. So, you know, shout out to those that are out there on this, you know, doing your thing, holding it down in the workforce. You know, you got to do what you got to do, right? And you just keep it moving, keep it pushing. So anyway, we're going to give people another minute to join us, and then we're going to dive right in today on this broadcast. Again, I hope you guys are having a great one. And I am right now looking at 110 degrees outside where we are. So yeah, it is warm. It's warm out there. And yeah, I didn't realize Arizona does get a little humidity. It's like, man, it's got to be, wait a minute now. Maybe I didn't add this up right. I didn't know we were supposed to get a little bit of humidity. I didn't think we were going to get any, but we got it. So, but it's not Florida heat. I personally assure you of that. It ain't that. It is not that. So anyway, we're just going to give people, we'll add like another minute to that. And we're still waiting on for some folks to get on here. Let me get some other music on here in the meantime. And let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, I'll do that. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you guys, like I said again, I hope you guys had a pretty good day so far. For some of y'all, it's actually gonna be a long weekend because you're gonna be tomorrow's Friday, and then you know, for some of you, it may have worked out where you get tomorrow off. It's kind of a bummer if you didn't, but you know, it works. Sometimes it works out for some people, and then you got the whole weekend. So I hope you make it a good one. I hope you guys got some good plans, and you're gonna do something for yourself for a change. Because you know, some folks, we just like to do everything for everybody and then don't take care of ourselves. So make it a point this week, you know, this weekend, to really take care and to focus on yourself. Okay, do that. Can you do that for me? Make sure you do that one. All right. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Thank you again. You know, I'm full of thank yous, but I really am. I'm really appreciative of those that tune in. For some of y'all, you know, back in the day, I'm saying back in the day, you know, maybe last year or the year before last, we used to put out a lot of videos, and I've kind of slowed down a bit on that. I'm kind of taking my own advice, you know, on that post that we did the other day, you know, as far as like living a high frequency life. And when someone is living a high frequency life, you use very few words. You know, I don't have to be out here running my mouth on everything, on every topic and all of that. You know, you gotta live a life of a quietude, of silence. It's okay to use words sometimes, but a lot of times, I just don't feel like saying anything, quite honestly. I don't. I really don't. Sometimes I just want to sit back, either read something, watch some movies or whatever, or just sit outside and just be quiet, and that's it. And I'll let the world run its mouth, and then they can figure things out on their own. So, but yeah, that's kind of where I've been, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. There's some other things I'm looking at right now, reevaluating some things that we've been doing, and saying maybe I'm gonna pull back on some of these things. So still just going through, and just wanting to make my life peaceful. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's what I've been doing. So, okay. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things. Of course, there's many, 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 many other things that are going on in the world today. But I said, you know what? I think these two would probably be plenty. And I think it's going to be plenty. One thing I will say, another reason why I would say why I probably haven't been doing as many videos is because of the fact that as you get older, and my mom warned me of this, she said, as you get older, you start saying things a little bit, that gait is not what it used to be. Sometimes you just say it, so as I noticed that as I get older, I said, you know what? Maybe I don't need to say anything right now, because some people they gonna get mad if I say it that way. So I tell you what, let me be quiet for a while and let it simmer. And then, if I ever decide to talk about it, then I'll talk about it, and this is just anything. I ain't talking about anything specific, but yeah. So I'll probably say that's another reason why I've been kind of chill. When it comes to certain things. But anyway, so tonight, depending on who we're talking to, where you're located, today we're going to talk about two topics. First topic we're going to talk about is this whole thing of convenient cults. Convenient cults. And if you've been on the YouTube streets, or some parts of the YouTube streets, you may have heard about this whole situation going on with Straightway and their whole situation with this latest thing now with a missing child, and the child was found. We're very grateful for that. And the child was found at home, and the child, I think, is in government custody or maybe released to the grandmother. I don't know. I ain't got all the details on that, but I do know, according to the news, that, the child is not where he was, and this is a 14-year-old young boy, and, but fortunately, for the few that don't know, his father, last name Muir, he was a football player, an NFL player, who was also a pastor and part of the ministry Straightway, church. And they have many locations, throughout the United States. And basically what they center on is self-sufficiency. So they build a bunch of communities all throughout the United States, in many parts of the United States, where they have, where they build their own homes. They build, they have their property, they build their gardens, they have farms, and it's all about self-sufficiency. But at the same time, they claim that they are Hebrews, that they're a Hebrew ministry, right? And so, so anyway, long story short, this one particular one located in Indiana, it was where Muir was a pastor, and apparently, the son, there was some issues with the son or whatever. Next thing you know, the son, he shows up at grandma's house with a black eye, swollen face. The grandmother fortunately took a picture of it, called the cops and all of that. And then somehow the parents were able to come and get him and bring him back to the property and all of that. And what was interesting when you look at the coverage, they were trying to make it seem like, oh my God, we're trying to find him. We don't know where this child is. We don't know where he is at all. But the whole time he was home. So it wasn't so much that he was lost. It was for the most part, he was at home, but he's on property in a rural area. And it happened to be a organization, for lack of a better term, that has been on social media for a long time, talking about and showcasing all the guns and stuff they have. So you can't exactly just kind of walk up and knock on a door in a situation like that. So there's a lot of planning and all that stuff that was going on, and the media talked about this. You have people, getting online saying, "Oh my God, we don't know where," stirring it up, and it's like, shut up, you don't know, just like I don't know. Just let's figure out and let's hear from the sources, so that and then we can go from there. And what the sources tell us is that they took him and went back home, but it still doesn't there's nothing about that makes it right that this young man had a swollen face and a black eye. You know what I'm saying? So the police and the authorities look like they did the right thing and got the parents and got arrested them and all of that. And I don't know if they're in custody now or not, because things change so rapidly. But that's going to be, from what it looks like, it's going to be thoroughly investigated, and we'll just have to wait and see, what's going on with that. And so it was very interesting to me to watch and to listen and to see the different initial reactions, to this story, and how individuals were, just saying, oh, these cults, there's cults all over the place. These cults, there's all kind of cults around, and we got to be careful out here, y'all. There's all kind of cults and stuff. So, and I said, there was a time where Straightway wasn't really considered a cult. Yeah. Amongst many Hebrews. Some things did change over time, but there was a time that wasn't the case. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to delve into that and look at a little bit of history on that, and then just go from there. Okay, so that's one of the first things we're going to talk about, and then later on we're going to figure out how to bridge that conversation into this whole Project 2025 thing. I know many of you have been hearing about this, ever since Biden bombed at his the debate. They have been ramping up the whole, like, oh my God, the Project 2025, black folks be afraid. Woo, it's the new vote or die campaign. And you think about that. A motivation to get black people to the polls was a very simple one, and it was, you either vote or you die. You can't make it any more simpler than that. If you don't vote, black people, you're going to die. That's how they get black people to the polls. And every year it's the same thing. Some of y'all old enough, I remember years ago when they were saying, oh, black people, you better be careful out here because, there was this case where some black people showed up at the polls. This was like in the 90s. I want to say this is a story floating around in the 90s, and they were saying that it was a whole train of black unmarked cars that pulled up at a polling station that just happened to have a whole bunch of black people, and they said men with black suits and dark sunglasses all showed up to intimidate the people and all that. And so I'm sitting up here like, okay. Did anybody happen to take pictures? Well, no, nobody took pictures, but it happened. And this is why black people, we got to show up at the polls. So it was like all this stuff to scare black people yet again to go vote. And so this whole Project 2025, ooh, it's scary. We got to be afraid. Oh, so all of this stuff, it's like you got to be, you got to step back for a second and you got to find out, okay, what is really going on here? If you looked at the post that I posted on our community page, I showed you that prior to the debate, nobody was really talking about, Democrats or Republicans for that matter, Nobody was really talking about Project 2025. Then all of a sudden now it's, oh my God, you better be careful. You got even Taraji up here at the BET Awards, out of all places. At the BET Awards. Now, if you're trying to get people to be politically involved, the BET Awards ain't even the last place. That shouldn't even be considered the last place on the list. The BET Awards. And she just passionately, I would play you the clip again, but I had if you saw the video, the last video we did, I literally had to like cover it and add stuff and all that stuff because YouTube wasn't liking me using that clip. So I had to do all kinds of things, and I don't feel like going through that again. But in that clip, for many, I'm sure a number of you have seen it. I mean, she kicked in and like, y'all better listen to me, and just going through this whole thing that, you better check out Project 2025 and all that, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to actually go to the source of Project 2025. All right, we're going to go to the source and we're going to hear from them and have them explain to us what Project 2025 really is. Now, if you think for one moment that I'm sitting up here, that you're like, oh, he must be an advocate for Project 2025, then you're a fool, because no, I'm not. Okay. But what I am going to do is I'm going to encourage you, before you start buying into another fear campaign, to read the thing. This is one of the biggest things that black folks, especially us, we won't read anything. Everything is fear. Everything is emotion, and you better do it, all of that. But we won't take the time to investigate and read. And then the moment you do that, oh, this is taking too long. Where all of it? Can you put some cartoons or something up in there? Can you put some music? This is boring, and I'm just saying, a lot of our people are like that. It ain't just black folks, of course. You got other groups too, but our people especially. You would think that we would take the time to investigate this, but a lot of people won't. It's just, it's Project 2025. What about Project 2030? What about Project 2021? You hear about those? Of course you didn't, because they didn't want you to pay attention to those. But we're going to get into it. All right, we're going to get into it. So those are the two things we're going to talk about today. And right as we're getting into it, remember, tomorrow, I'll just do this. Tomorrow, I'm going to try, since tomorrow's Friday, we're going to do a live. I think I'm going to do another live. We're going to talk about, we're going to look from a medical perspective on this trend that you see in a lot of black religious groups, all right, where the focus always tends to be, ultimately, the focus tends to always center around what white people are doing. When you go back into the history of these different in black empowerment groups, the goal ultimately was for black folks to move ahead, to be everything you're supposed to be, to grow, to uplift, to do all of these things, right? But if you notice, a lot of these different groups tend to focus on what white man doing. Let me tell you about what Mr. Charlie doing today. Let me tell you about what the white woman said about black people. Let me tell you about, and we will reproduce. It can be some a white man missing all his toofuses, sitting in the back of a trolley or sitting in the back of a truck somewhere. And then he gets up there and like, yeah, y'all, because now I'm reading this Bible here, and what I'm trying to tell you is, I think we done got this thing all wrong. I think that these black folks, I think there may be some more to them. I actually think there may be some more to them. And black folks will be like, oh, hallelujah. They're recognizing us finally. You're so freaking desperate for attention to these people that you will go that far and make it into like it's some big deal. So there is something from a medical standpoint. There's something that we actually talked about before, and it has to do with your brain. And we're going to talk about that and what happens, the relationship between cults / religions and what happens to your brain. We're going to continue that conversation that we had the last time we did a live here on the relationship between what happens, the impact of religion / cults, groups, whatever you want to call them, and what happens to your brain and what you have to do to stop it. Okay. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. I'm hoping tomorrow. And then we're also going to talk about something brand new that we're going to be releasing over on sombertree.com. I was going to try to do it today, but I figured we'll just do it tomorrow. Okay. So we're going to talk about that, and then, we'll probably do some other fun things as well. So stay tuned for that. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I mention those things. Okay. All right. So let's go. Let's get into this and let's go. Okay. So let's see, where do we begin? Okay, so the first thing is we have to start here. This is going to be the place that I'm choosing to start, because if you don't get this, you're not going to get everything else when we really start delving into topic number 1. Okay, so it's very important that you listen to this first part. Okay, so let's go. Let's get this up here. All right, so not that. Let's go to Keynote. We're going to go right there. Okay, so here we go here. All right, so we're going to talk about this here. So what you see on your screen here, I'm just making sure y'all see what I see on here. Where's my little things? Okay, I'm just making sure everything's on the screen. Okay, here we go. All right, so what you see on the screen here, of course, in the middle, you see the Bible, right? You got the Bible. And let's see, truth with eyes open. If you just chill just for a moment, hear the whole matter out, and we got you. Okay, so just chill a little bit. Okay, all right, so let's go. All right, so let's take a look here. And what you see in the middle of the screen is your Bible, is the Bible. Okay, and what you see around it are all or many of the religions, groups that use the Bible as their foundational piece. Okay, all of these groups. Okay, and so I'll mention, just go around the room real quick and just point out some of them. Okay, so you got the mainstream Christian denominations, Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy, Oriental Orthodoxy, Protestantism. You have, let's see what else. You got Jehovah's Witness. You have the Unification Church, the Mormons, the Quakers, the Amish, the Shakers. You have the Children of God, Branch Davidians. See, now you're getting out there a little bit, right? Heaven's Gate. Many of y'all remember that, old enough. You have the People's Temple, otherwise known as Jonestown, right? You also have Rastafarism. All right. You got, of course, Hebrew Israelites, the Nation of Yahweh. You got Gnosticism to a certain extent, the Christian Kabbalah, New Apostolic Church, the Way International, Unitarian. It goes on. OK, and I'm sure there's some that I've missed here. All right. Well, one in particular is that didn't miss is the Klan, the KKK. The KKK also uses the Bible. The KKK also uses the Bible as their foundational document. All right. And this is a book, and it was very interesting. I shared this with somebody earlier today. This is a book. It's called the Ku Klux Klan in Prophecy by Bishop Alma White. And they say this is a 144-page book written by Bishop Alma Bridewell, hope I'm saying that right, White, in 1925, and illustrated by Reverend Branford Clark. In the book, she uses scripture to rationalize that the KKK is sanctioned by God through divine illumination and prophetic vision. She also believes that the apostles and the Good Samaritan were members of the Klan. The book was published by the Pillar of Fire Church, which she founded at their press in Zarephath, New Jersey. The book sold over 45,000 copies. Now, what was so interesting about this, and I didn't even know, I'm just pulling stuff up, is that ministry that they mentioned, it just so happens that they used to be on, for some of y'all old enough, you may have used to listen to something on the FM dial. Usually it comes on FM. It's Family Radio. Family Radio is a national radio, syndicated radio station or broadcast stream, if you will. And so this radio station used to be on Family Radio. Family Radio, it was like very traditional Christian programming that they would have on there. They would have like different pastors and stuff on there, and then they would have music and stuff. It's very dry. It's very milquetoast. It's very, whatever. But I used to listen to it, when I was at, this is when I first started in when I, got out of college, school, and my first job. I would just have it playing in the background because I was just so wanting to, every opportunity I could get to hear somebody preaching out of the Bible, I just wanted to hear it. And this is in that station, this ministry, Pillar of Fire Ministries. I used to listen to them, but I had no indication. There was no indication that they were like hated black people or anything like that. They never touched those topics, but I just found that to be interesting. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember them, but I didn't know they had that history. But anyway, let's go. So all of these different branches here, they all use the Bible as their centerpiece. All of them do. Okay. So regardless if you call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, or if you call yourself a Catholic, or you call yourself, I'm just a plain old Christian, or whatever it is, at the end of the day, your foundation, you share a foundation with all of these groups, and including the KKK. You do. And there's no way in the world, you can try to delineate yourself all you want, but at the end of the day, you're still using the same foundation as all of these groups, period. You're one big family under one very complex tent. You are. So you can't get around it. All right. And the reason why the Bible was given to all of us was a way of controlling the narrative of all people. That was the whole purpose of the Bible, was to control the narrative. And I'm going to show you a very simple example here in just a moment of exactly what I'm talking about. All right. So in fact, I'm just going to jump to it right now. I'll jump to it right now because I want to make sure you're getting this. Okay. What the heck does this have to do with anything? A knife and a pick. What does this got to do with anything? Well, I'm going to show you. I'll tell you. All right. So when you look at the pick, all right, the purpose of an Afro pick, this is just an example I'm giving now, is to do what? It's to detangle hair. And it don't have to be an Afro pick. It can be a comb, just a regular hair comb. When I'm using a hair comb, I'm using it to do what? Mainly to detangle my hair and to get my hair, in my case, the hair up here is pretty much done, but I'm still praying, that comes back. But in the meantime, I use this to kind of detangle and to get my, beard to get fuller and all of that stuff, right? This is the main reason why I'm using this, right? This is the main reason why this was created. What you're looking at right now. It was created just to simply detangle hair. It wasn't created for me to use it as, oh, I got some carpentry work I got to do. So son, hand me that Afro pick over there so I can kind of knock these nails in the wall. You're not going to do that. Some people may try to do that, but depending on what kind of comb you got, but typically that's not the case. The primary focus and the main reason this was created was to comb hair. That's it. That's all it was. All right. And so we're going to call this, it's an absolute. Okay. Because there's nowhere in the world this can be used for anything else. Not really. Now, if someone can take this if they wanted to, and let's say someone's getting on my nerves and I'm like, listen, I need a weapon. Well, doggone right. You're going to pull this out and go, and then you could probably poke someone in the eye. You can get them hard enough. You can stab them in the chest or whatever. But that's not what this was created for. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's not what this was created for. This is 100% was for this, and that's it, right? Now, let's look at the knife. Everybody's seen the knife. I'll just pull it up real quick again. So you got the knife here. Now, the knife that you're looking at here right now, primarily this particular knife, what is it used for? It's made for cutting food, right? Cutting meat, cutting fruits and vegetables and stuff like that. That's the main purpose that this was created. However, knives in general can also be made as weapons. So it's not, a knife really isn't an absolute, so to speak, right? Because you can use it for kitchen stuff, but you can also use it as a weapon. So a knife in this case is a good example of something it's not really an absolute, because a knife in general has many functions depending on what you're using it for. Whereas a comb, it's mainly used for detangling your hair. That's all it's used for. Now, why am I mentioning these two things? Now, let's go back to what we talked about, what we just were looking at here just a moment ago, the Bible. Now, the Bible in of itself, as much as many people want to say that it's an absolute, it is definitely not that. This is not an absolute. Does it contain truths? Yes, it does. I've said that many times. I'll continue to say it over and over again. It contains some things that are good, that are truthful. And yes, you can in some cases say, yep, this is an absolute truth. You know what I'm saying? And there's some things you can say that. But when you take an honest look at the Bible in of itself, I don't care if you want to include the Apocrypha or not. I don't really give a rip. It don't matter. Put all of it in there. Okay. When you look at the Bible honestly, from a historical perspective, you're going to find that there's a lot of contradictions. You're going to find that there are things in there that simply historically did not happen. Okay. You're going to find that if you're taking an honest look at the Bible, that's the case. This is why when you're talking in the area of faith, what do you say? What's the word that goes along with that? Belief. So all of these denominations and different branches and stuff that you see, because the Bible isn't an absolute, it has to, they got to use something. They got to say it's a faith-based, or it's belief. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in other words, for example, I can believe that I'm a giraffe. Does it make it a fact? No. I can believe that I live in a multi-million-dollar home. Does that make it a fact? No. But I believe it. You understand what I'm saying? So all of these organizations, all these different branches, they are basing their foundation on a singular book, right? On a singular book that's not, because it's not an absolute, right? It gives all of these people the room to kind of make up their own belief system. So, for example, you have the Hebrews, for example, they may disagree on a lot of things when it comes to people who are Catholic, all right, and vice versa. Then you can go also, the Lutherans will disagree with the Baptists, or, the Presbyterians, they'll disagree with the Church of God in Christ or whatever. So they're going to all have their different disagreements on different things, but the foundation remains the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you following me? Okay. The foundation remains the same. So the way this Bible is being used is that it's allowing people to have their own beliefs, but just don't leave the yard. You can believe what you want, but at the end of the day, you just can't leave the yard. So just imagine in your mind for a second, you got this big yard, right? And it's full of children. And they just playing and stuff. Remember back in the day when you were a certain age, recess, you would go out there and you would just be out there playing and running and jumping and all that. Go on the slides, you can go on the swings, but they will always tell you, you better not cross over that fence. There's some boundaries here. Okay. You can't go but so far, because if you go too far, you're going to get in trouble or you can get hurt. So the school, to that degree, the school is in control of everybody that's in the yard. You got a whole bunch of different kids, doing all kinds of things. You got kids over here playing jump rope. You got kids over here playing hopscotch. I'm talking back in the day now because, you don't really see that now, right? You got kids over here. You got the girls over there. They all gossiping and playing and whatever. You got the boys. They doing their thing, playing with trucks and all that stuff. Well, think of all of these different kids representing these different groups that you see on this screen right here. They're all doing their own thing, right? But it's the borders, if you will, that have been established that makes them stay in a certain place. So you can do whatever the heck you want, but you can't leave this matrix. This is why we talk about the matrix. The matrix is basically a construct that it allows you to do a lot of things. It gives you autonomy to do all kinds of things, but as long as you stay within the borders, you're going to be good. But once you start trying to deconstruct and come out of that, now you some deep doo-doo now. Now you're special. Now there's something wrong with you. Now you're a persona non grata. You can't non grata. You can't. No, we can't mess with you now. So you are only deceiving yourself if you think that somehow that we got the truth. For example, you as a Hebrew, if you're claiming, hey, I'm a Hebrew, so we are the ones that stand on truth, right? Well, you got the Catholics that's going to say the same thing, using the same book. We got the truth, right? You got the Jehovah's Witnesses. They're going to say the same thing. We got the truth. The Mormons, we got the truth. Heaven Gates people, they said it. We got the truth. All using the same source document. So you can spend all this time, all you want, watching these videos on YouTube or whatever, where they're doing all these breakdowns and people are trying to explain, saying, well, I'm going to show you the Greek and I'm going to show you the Hebrew, and we're going to do breakdowns and show you, see, this is why family, see, this is why we're the people. We understand this. But on the other side, you got somebody else saying the same thing, but the Catholics are saying it, right? Or the Sheikh, the Amish people, they're saying it. Everybody's got their own interpretation. So because you're dealing with something that's not an absolute, it's not. It allows people to come up with their own interpretations. And this is why you got all kinds of strange things out here where people doing all kinds of stuff. But at the end of the day, they're all using as their source the Bible. Now, why did I go through this long explanation here? Because what it does, when you're not standing, you don't have core absolutes or foundations, if you will, in your life, in your own personal belief system. What happens is there are, you're not really connected. I mean, you're connected to all of these things, but you can easily deceive yourself and act like, well, you can change the narrative at any time. You can change the definition of things anytime. You understand what I'm saying? When you don't have that foundation, if you're not standing on a foundation of, for example, in my life, I'm like, listen, I only have one wife. I have my children. These are my priorities. I love them. That's it. I don't have eyes for nobody else. That's it. 100%. That's my focus on them. I'm not entertaining anybody else in the mix at all. I don't believe in having 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 wives. I don't want any of that. That's just one example. Okay. So that's my foundation that I stand on. That's it. Okay. And so, but in this case here, what we're talking about is that because the Bible is not an absolute source, it allows all of this other stuff that be floating out here, but you're all still related. You are. And then sometimes you sit back and like, look at them people over there. That's a cult over there. Oh, they a cult over there. Oh, look at them people. They crazy. Them Jehovah's Witnesses, please. We got all kind of jokes about the Jehovah's Witness, 7-day Adventists and all that stuff, right? We can go on for days about, we got all kinds of jokes and all kinds of stuff that we can say about all these groups. But at the end of the day, when it's time to go to bed, all y'all make sure that the Bible is nearby. So again, the Bible is the borders that keep all of y'all within the matrix. That's what it's used for. Same thing with the American government. The American government uses the Bible as their foundational piece, do they not? Here you got Trump, you got Biden, you got Obama. All of these presidents, they literally swore on the Bible. The Bible was their foundation to their presidency. Now, see, some people this stuff just goes right over your head. But I'm pleading with you, don't let this fly over your head. The leadership of this country, we're just talking the United States now, uses the Bible as their foundational piece. So much so, the first thing that they do as a president, the thing that's welcome them in to the highest office in this nation, well, we'll say this most wicked nation, is they have to swear on the Bible. Now, these same people will use the Bible to justify dropping bombs on folks, killing people, poisoning people, spying on people, disenfranchising people, and all that stuff. But Dwayne, they're using the Bible. That's right. Because the Bible isn't an absolute piece, it gives them the luxury to do whatever the heck they want. So you got some people that'll look at what Biden's doing and saying he's a Satan, he's the Antichrist. And then you got some people that look at Trump and say, well, no, he's the Antichrist. Or Obama was. Then you got other people say, no, they're all Jesus. They're all are the prophets of old. They're the prophets of old that have come about. They got new skin now. They're back at us right now. And they're here to show us the way. You got other people that will do that. But what did they use as their foundation? The foundation is the Bible. So if the United States government is using the Bible as its foundation, and all of these different religions are using the Bible as their foundations, then I would submit to you that you may need to look at the Bible, because not all these people can be right. I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. How is it that all these people, how is it that you're right? How is it that you are right? You can say all you want. Well, we're right because of this or that. Got someone here talking about the book of Enoch is real. That's what you saying. But just because you saying it, it doesn't make it right. The Amish people may have a different opinion about that, but they're still using the same document. The Jehovah's Witness may have a different opinion that supersedes that, but it doesn't make it right. So you got all of these different people that got all kinds of different agendas, all using the same source. And this is why when you're using a source that's not an absolute, it gives off all of these different interpretations. So it gives you this feeling or this air that, you know, when you're in your little bubble, you're like, well, we're right here. We're right in this bubble. You come in my bubble, we got it right here. We're the ones, we're in the truth. But then you look down the street outside of your bubble, you got somebody else that's saying something completely different. But that's all y'all, all in your own individual bubbles, but you're all using the same book. So how is it that all of you can be right? How is that even possible? See, these are things, this is why we go through this stuff, because we really want to challenge you. At the end of the day, if you want to stay in your bubble, stay in your bubble. I don't care, and I ain't mad at you. But there's no way in the world, this is why we said, you know what, bunk all this. Listen, I only get one life, okay? I ain't got time to be going, okay, well, we're going to try the Hebrew bubble. Well, next week, we're going to try the African spirituality bubble. Okay, we're going to try the Mormon bubble after this. We're going to try this, but I ain't got time for that. Maybe you do, but I ain't got time for all of that. So I said, you know what? Let me go to the wizard. Okay, let me go to the man behind the curtain, okay? And the man behind the curtain was the Bible. And so that's why I had to take the time myself, and still doing it, and said, okay, let me look at the real history of this book. Let me find the foundation of this thing. Who wrote this book? Who are the ones that really contributed to this thing? I have no interest in, but you know what? They were actually black. Let me use this AI software and blacken everybody else. I don't care about all that. Just give me the truth. If they were all black, it don't change nothing for me. Do you understand what I'm saying? For some of y'all, it does. You got people out here, they'll use that software and make everyone black, and you're like, oh, I knew it that Enoch was black. I had a feeling he was black. I don't care. I don't care. That doesn't put any extra hairs on my chest. I personally don't care because it's the message is still the same. All of it is still the same. Does it line up with actual factual history? Yes or no? If it don't line up, then it's something you toss it, period. But this is where it's all based on belief. Belief in of itself isn't factual. I'm not saying belief isn't a good thing. It's always good to believe in something, like, especially when you're dealing positive, you are going to be this or whatever. There's nothing wrong with believing, belief in of itself. But it becomes problematic when you start claiming that your belief is a fact. And that's a problem, because that's it can't be. You know what I mean? I can believe whatever I want. I can sit up here and say, I believe it right now. I claim it. I got $1 billion in an account. Let me pull this up right now. And you pull it up, man, it ain't in there. Trust me, it ain't in there, at least not yet. I pray right now that you just move on somebody right now. No, I'm just playing. But anyway, but again, I just want to emphasize that the belief in of itself doesn't establish a fact. It doesn't. And unfortunately, for a lot of people, that's the case. So you get what I'm saying. I don't want to beat this thing to the ground, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. I had to cover this first so that we can now get into the main stuff. But I wanted to lay this foundation so that you know where exactly I'm going and what I'm talking about. Okay. So now, so let me get back on camera here for a second here. So when I look at, so fast forward to today, in the Hebrew space, there's a lot of things I've learned. There's a lot of things I saw, seen, still seeing. There were, and it's really not that much different from the things I would see in the Christian church. So it's pretty much the same stuff. And I've heard many of you, some of y'all who we've actually listened to or talked to, say the same doggone thing. You say the same thing. We're like, well, dog, this is just like the church. Yeah, because you're using the same document. You're following the same scriptures. You're following the same script. Okay. Did that ever occur to you? It's called scriptures for a reason, because all y'all following the same script. You all are. Okay. Even us, those of us, our ancestors that came over by slaves, they beat you, and they say, okay, here's your part. Here's your part. Here's your script. Now read it. Now believe it, receive it, but this is your script. They gave everyone a script. Okay. So anyway, so it's very interesting to me. We talked earlier, at the beginning of this broadcast, I mentioned a little bit about the whole Dowell situation and all that. What I found very interesting about this whole entire situation is the fact that I said Dowell in of himself, he has been the same person since I first heard about this man. He has been the same person the whole time. He had a long history. There are plenty of videos that you can find on YouTube right now of people that actually left that ministry and had all kind of experiences that they've given testimony to, and talked about the different things that they've experienced, the things that they saw firsthand and all that other stuff. All you got to do is go on YouTube. You can find plenty of them. They're all out there. So he didn't change at all. All right. Now, going back a little bit now, because for some of y'all, you may remember some of this stuff. Some of y'all, you may not. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing some of this stuff. But my memory is very good on this. Okay. So anyway, Dowell, basically, he is known, what's been put out is that this man, how he has a very dim view of women, when it comes to people that don't agree with them, all this is a whole bunch. And I ain't trying to get into all of that. His reputation has been the same. Okay. It's been out there. And so, now this is going back in like 2017, 18, 19, I would say more so for me, like 18, 19. Even though you had people within the religious or in the Hebrew space that did not agree with some of the things he was doing or how he was doing it, there was a great amount of respect for what he was doing as far as like creating these communities, these homesteads, and really like had a focus on building up men. Okay, that was what was put out there. And so people within the Hebrew space, generally speaking, at that time, they really didn't have a whole lot to say. I mean, even though it was like some stuff, but it was still like, well, he's, I can't say but too much because he's doing this or he's doing that or he's doing this, right? And so that was going on. But there was still people out there, because I want to be clear, I'm not saying everybody within the Hebrew world was with him, because that's not true at all. You had people who were very vocal that said, nah, he a little bit too much. He too much, and I ain't trying to have nothing to do with him. So you did have that. And so let's be clear with that. But you also had numbers of people within the Hebrew space that were, they may not agree with them on everything, but they were cool enough to kind of ride along with him, right? And so this is what I'm talking about, the diversity within this Hebrew world. And so when you're in this, where everyone's all, remember back in the example I just gave, as far as Dowell is concerned, he is 100% a Hebrew, Christian, whatever you want to call it. And as far as you, from the outside looking in, you consider yourself a Hebrew. Some of y'all may consider yourself a Hebrew or Christian or whatever. So as far as that's concerned, both of you are right. That's what I'm saying. This is why it doesn't make any sense when you start looking at it. But both of you are right. Both of you, based on what they believe, Dowell believes he's right. Based on what you believe, you're right. This is the confusion of religion. This is what it does. And so anyway, it fast forward. He did, what was it? I'm trying to think of the best way to jump into this. So let me get this. I have a video here. I have a video that I found here. I have a lot of videos actually, but this one here I want to play. I'll get out of this one here. Okay. All right. So what was very interesting was that his reputation, like I said, was already out here. It was already out there. People already knew what this man was about. But what I found interesting was that despite all of that, you still had numbers of Hebrews that still respected this man and really embraced him, including this one individual here. And let me play this video. Interesting enough, and I'm going to, if I remember, I'm going to mention a few things about this, the person that put this video together, Thoughts, Camera, Action. It's not bad. There's nothing bad I'm going to say. So don't think I'm up here gossiping and saying anything bad. So I'll just squash that right now. But I want to at least get through this video first, and then I'll circle back and I'll mention, because I think that whole episode, I think it provides even more of some great examples that I think a lot of people can learn from. So let me pull this up here. All right, so this is the video here that he put together here. So I want you to watch this. All right. Oh, of course, there's no volume. Why is there no volume? Hold on. Why is there no volume on this? Hold on. Okay, hold on. All right, let me oh, there you go.
Yandoroboko shepe. Bruh.
It has exemplified those traits which set him above other leaders. And this award is going to go to a man that he has years, if not decades, in the game, where he's been teaching the Hebrew truth, the Hebrew way.
Secret has gotta be spoken. We out here living a lie. 3/5, but they say that we equal.
Bruh.
If you say you got the Holy Spirit, but you're not meek, then you need to self-evaluate yourself and read the Bible again, because you can't be operating with the Holy Spirit and be totally opposite of what the fruits of the Holy Spirit says.
Where he's been teaching the Hebrew truth, the Hebrew way, and I mean he's everywhere. I mean, I thought I was busier than him, but when I talked to him and texted him, he is super busy, going all over the place. And we have to give honor where honor is due, and respect where respect is due. And this award is well deserved. Hebrew Man of the Year, Pastor Charles Dowell. Amen.
All right, let me just move on because I don't know if that music's copyrighted or not. But anyway, we'll go back. All right.
Woke. Judah Awards. And what motivated such brotherly altruism?
That Pastor Dowell did support the movie Hebrews and Negroes.
Let me tell y'all something. I'm going to set a lot of people free. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Eating Ruffles potato chips.
That Pastor Dowell did support the movie Hebrews and Negroes.
Which set him above other leaders. And this award is going to go to a man that he has years, if not decades, in the game, where he's been teaching the Hebrew truth, the Hebrew way.
But we have to understand some things. Like, we cannot be conditional supporters of Israelites when we feel like it.
That's right. That's right, Ron.
They understand that we got to come together. We got to show the labor of love and support our brothers and our sisters. I asked Truth Unveiled 777, hey, brother, can you support me? You got a lot of followers that follow you. You got 300,000, 400,000 followers. All you got to do is show them the trailer. Let your followers be exposed to Hebrews and Negroes. You talk about Yahuwah and Elohim and all this stuff. You're in the truth. He said, no, I don't do that. God's camera action. I haven't reached out to him, but he still has not reached out to me to interview me or just talk to me. I'm not that hard to find. I say it all the time. The Negro Network. Hebrews and Negroes at yahoo.com.
Not at all.
Rebirth of a Nation. People saw me with Joshua Mo a long time ago when we premiered the trailer of the movie Hebrews and Negroes Reclaiming the Throne back in December of 2017 on YouTube. It's 2021. They're like, Ron, and I'll talk about this later. Big Judah knows who I am.
Anyway, he goes through all this whole list of different people he reached out. This is, him putting his movie out, the first Hebrews to Negroes movie. Now, here is, now just to be clear, because I want to be very, 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 very clear. I am not saying that these people that he put together on his list are all backing him, because that's not true. Because there were people on this sheet that he put together. There were some of these people that wouldn't have nothing to do with Ron. I mean, just be honest, okay? They didn't want to have to, and they made that very known. So I'm not saying, so don't try to read that in it. That's not what happened. But there were a lot of folks who did go with this and were okay with him granting or him and the other ministries that got together to put together this conference. They were okay with giving Dowell a Hebrew Man of the Year award. They were okay with that. And did you hear the part where he said part of the financing for that movie did in fact come from Dowell? Now, to give you a little bit more history, because I want to be full disclosure here. because some of y'all, again, I'm just want to put all the, no, I wasn't on that list. I wasn't on that list because things had changed radically at that time. Okay, that's why I want to get into the give you a little bit more history on this. Now, Hebrews and Negroes movie, when that first, how far do I go back? Basically, he was not making a whole lot. I mean, he was very frustrated because people were not giving at the rate that he needed for people to give in order to get the movie done. So he approached myself and my wife, and what we did was we used our platform to really get people to say, hey, listen, this seemed like a good brother, and all that. And this is not about Ron. Okay. So but he's part of this story of the much bigger thing that I'm talking about. And so long story short, his goal was all the way up here. And then we said, no, you need to make that realistic. And so we was able to get that goal down, and basically we was able to meet that goal. People contributed. He was able to get the funds he needed so that he was able to, do and get that movie done. All right. He was able to get that done. And, and so he reached out to us at that time. But prior to that movie coming out, there were certain things that was going on his side that he just all of a sudden he went ghost on us. And he just, there's, like I said, again, I could write a whole book on this. It was this craziest stuff that we saw, and we were like, okay, well, we gave you the truth. You shouldn't be doing this. It was certain things that we noticed and stuff, and we try to be very clear with him. But he didn't want that, and we said, okay, let's keep it moving. And that's exactly what we did. And that was it. We were done. We were completely done with it. And so what happened there? Okay, so but the thing is that he still needed more. As he was doing the movie, there was still more of this he needed. So he was going around to people like Dr. Moonby. He was going to some of these other groups or whatever to try to, get people to get money. Well, one of the people he went to was in fact Dowell. All right. So, Dowell's got money. Okay. But Dowell comes with a lot of baggage, but apparently that wasn't an issue. So, I don't know. I'm not going to speculate what happened, but it was very interesting that Dowell contributes. The next thing we know, he's getting a Hebrew Man of the Year award. I mean, you put that together. Okay. You do that. You do the math on that. Okay. And next thing you know, we got a movie. Okay. So, and then, a lot of people dove in, supported it, and did their thing. The movie took off and did whatever, right? But the reason why I wanted to mention all of that was that even with Dowell's history of being who he is, there was no gate. There's still like, oh, well, I don't care. We're all Hebrews at the end of the day, that kind of thing. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, as far as everybody believes in the Bible, but the key word is belief. It doesn't make it a fact. You understand what I'm saying? Your belief system may allow certain things, whereas my belief system may not, or vice versa. And so what you will find in this Hebrew space, or just in any religious space that's Bible-based, is that it's a whole field of all kind of different beliefs with different kind of standards. And everyone thinks they're right, but they're not. You understand? And so, but everything is cool and gumdrops and rainbows until all of a sudden there's a disagreement. Then when a disagreement comes up, then all of a sudden now that's a cult member. Oh, he running a cult. Now all of a sudden he's a cult. I can remember back in a few years back, if I dare whispered or said anything about Dowell, man, my comment section, I would have people coming in and saying, well, what are you doing? And all this stuff, coming to this man's defense. Now, all of a sudden, it just, I guess one thing has led to another, because Dowell just continue to be Dowell. He's going to continue to be him. And, and I guess one thing has built up to another, until finally it's a lot easier and it's a lot convenient for people now to say, well, he's in a cult. That's a cult guy. He ain't got nothing to do with us. See, it's easy to pull that out and to call that out. But see, here's the thing. There are a lot. You want to talk, if you want to really get into the conversation of cults, particularly within the Hebrew space, I submit to you the entire thing is a cult. Someone asked me a while back, not too long ago, they said, oh, so you saying all the Hebrew things go? Absolutely it is. Because there are a lot of things that have gone down and continue to go down to this day that people somehow, some way just will conveniently overlook it. Let me give you another example. There's the group, and many of y'all have heard, we've done videos on this group. We've talked about them. We've given so much. I mean, the information is there. It's there. We go right to the people. There's a woman who used to be a member of the Dimona Hebrew group in Israel. She did a whole book where she outlined in detail the years of abuse, not only that she went through, but she experienced that she saw others go through as well, underage stuff that was going on. She talks all about that in her book. Now, at a distance, it's convenient for somebody to sit back and say, oh, they're crazy, right? But I want you to make sure, see, this is why it's so important to remember things and to document stuff. Because it was about a little over a year ago, Israel was actually talking about deporting all of them, the whole Dimona crowd. They wanted to deport all of them. And what was interesting is that you had a lot of Hebrew ministries that were coming to their defense and saying, see, they're trying to run out the people of God and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so I guess you guys do see yourself as one and the same. But my question is, why all of a sudden you go quiet when someone steps out and talks about the abuse that's going on over there? Like there's a couple of guys that I've seen him on multiple channels where he's like talking about, you know, the Hebrew history and all this other stuff. And he's all part of that. You think what's going on at Straightway is bad. That Dimona stuff is a whole nother level. I mean, based on, all I'm saying is read the book, and the author of the book, she actually has, well, she's gone now. She's no longer here with us, but and it was her and there was some other people she had on her channel, and they laid it all out. And on top of that, this Dimona group, they work hand in hand with the Israeli government. That gets left out. But then the moment that Israel started mentioning, you know what, I think we're going to eject all these people out of our land. Y'all family, we got to get together. You know, you see what they're doing to the people of God and all this other stuff. So now all of a sudden you become Voltron when it comes to that. But when people start coming out and talking about the abuse and all the other stuff they going, now you ain't got nothing to say. Nobody ain't got no comments on that. No comment on that. See, when you tolerate that kind of stuff, that says a lot about you and your belief system. And that belief system sounds very cultish when you just are willing to overlook that kind of stuff. Same thing with people going through with the IUIC and some of these other groups. There are many people that have come out of these different organizations and groups and have done videos and stuff like that, and nobody says nothing about it. Well, it's probably them. They're the ones, they're the problem. That's what it is. They're the problem. See, as far as the Bible and as far as we're concerned, you know, the Bible says the wheat and the tare is going to grow up together. You'll throw that in a moment. You'll say that in a moment. Then you got another example that just recently came out about another ministry with a couple. They were talking about what they were going through and their experiences. I mean, the ministry they're talking about, all on YouTube, y'all. I don't even want to bring it up. Let's just say I got something. But they got knives. I got videos right now. I was looking, I was like, what the heck? I mean, videos on YouTube. And they up there like literally getting down on all fours. This is praise and worship, y'all. This is praise and worship. Okay. Y'all think I'm playing around. This is praise and worship. You got folks getting down on all fours with knives like they stalking somebody. How many? Oh, I'm trying to think of that movie. Well, anyway. Yes. Acting like they stalking somebody. Then you have people running around with a hatchet or a spear, swords, machetes. But nobody want to say nothing about that. Nobody. And I'm sitting up here like, wow, now this is really blatantly obvious here that something ain't right. Something clearly ain't right here. And none of these folks ain't got nothing to say about that. Nothing. That's just, whatever. Ain't got nothing to say about that. And like I said, and I wrote in the post I did earlier, don't just focus on the individuals. You focus on the people behind them. And when you start looking at the people who were on those panels at that conference that we just mentioned earlier, I say your journey starts there, because you're going to start seeing some similar names and similar faces popping up with a lot of these people that you watch on YouTube. Same thing with, what was the other thing I mentioned? The conference. And I'll even say this documentary, that other documentary that came out. Look at the names on all them people who was behind it. And you're going to ask yourself, gee, I wonder why they've been so quiet when this stuff start coming out about this ministry. Wonder why they had nothing to say about this. And these folks were on YouTube for a good moment doing all of this stuff, knives and spears and all this other stuff. And they're like, oh, this is our worship. Well, Dwayne, you just don't understand. You're right. And you know what? I don't want to understand. I really don't. Because if I allow my brain to get that deep, then just go ahead and lock me up. Because no, you are not going to catch me doing anything like that in front of any camera. I don't care if it's connected to the internet or not. I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. No, I ain't giving nobody a reason. But I would sit up there and I'm watching this, right? This is going back some time, right? I'm watching this. And I'm sitting up, I'm just puzzled. I was really puzzled. And I'm looking at the chat. This is going back, right? And people were putting all in the chat little swords. Like they were like, yeah, and like putting little swords and knives and stuff too. And I was like, what? Well, Dwayne, you don't understand. You don't get it. That don't ring any bells to anybody. You just gonna go completely quiet on that. Completely quiet. So this is what I'm saying. People it don't matter if it's in the Hebrew space, it don't matter if whatever. When you are dealing in the area of biblical sanctioned belief, it allows all of this stuff to happen. Everybody. And if you don't follow the guidelines of a particular bubble, then they can quickly assign you and say that you are part of a cult. You're a cult leader. Just like that. Now I wanted to get back to, and because I said I wanted to show that video first, but then I went to go, I said I wanted to mention a few things about Thoughts Camera Action. Now, Thoughts Camera Action, many of you have known him for years or whatever. I don't know what's happened as far as his channel and all that's concerned. I think he's changed the name and all that stuff. I don't know. I used to talk to him every now and then, but I haven't spoken to him in a good minute. Especially even when all the latest stuff was going on. But it was very interesting to watch that whole entire episode. And I may have sent something like this before, but it's worth mentioning it again. He did now Thoughts Camera Action, as you know, a lot of the videos that he was doing at one point, he was looking at all of these people in Hollywood and politics or whatever, and making all of these connections to these people, to the Illuminati or whatever, like, you know, someone throws up a hand sign or whatever, you know, he would always focus on that and say, see, they're telling you what they're about, right? And so that's what he did. You know, he would tie anybody that he thought was throwing up a hand sign. He would say, this is Illuminati people or whatever, right? I mean, he would say a lot of other things too, but that was one of the things that he did that a lot of people, they couldn't amen him enough over that stuff, right? So that was his whole thing. That was the standard that he established, right? And people apparently didn't have any problems with that. I remember even some of these YouTube channels, because he was getting so popular, you had other YouTube channels that were trying to like entreat him and try to bring him in their group. I'm talking about Hebrews now. It was Dowell all over again. It was like, you know, I'm not saying that he was like Dowell. I'm saying he had a popularity that these other channels wanted. So they began to latch on him because they wanted those numbers. That's what they were doing. And so it's just interesting to sit back and to watch this, right? And so then all of a sudden, thoughts, camera, action, he started flipping the script. And instead of focusing on these people that were, you know, in Hollywood or whatever, he used the same standard that he established, the very same standard. He didn't change, and began to start looking at the whole Hebrew landscape using that same standard. And then once he started doing that, oh man, everybody and their mama and their daddy couldn't wait to line up to crucify this dude. Now, again, did I agree with everything that he was doing, his assessments? No, I didn't. You know, there were certain ones he was calling out and saying they were part of something. I didn't agree with that at all. You know what I mean? But I didn't feel no need that I'm going to come out with a video and straighten all this up. That's his stuff. I ain't stepping in that. You know what I mean? You put that out, that's yours. You know what I mean? But it was very interesting that the same crowd that didn't have a problem with him doing that, using the same strategy that he established when he was calling out people in the quote unquote world system, all of a sudden he flipped the script and started using that same strategy on the people in the Hebrew space. Now, all of a sudden there's a problem. Now, all of a sudden we got to get rid of them. Now, all of a sudden we got to come down on them. Now, all of a sudden and I said, wow, isn't this something? Isn't this something? But this is what this space does. I'm talking about religious space. As long as you're talking about the other bubbles, it's okay. But don't touch my bubble. You know, so Dowell, in this case, just to wrap up this segment, he has become more or less over the years like a very convenient scapegoat, if you will, of a much wider space that, quite honestly, don't really have any kind of absolutes at all. It's all based on your own personal beliefs and what's popular at the moment. Because if Hebrews are very honest, they were in line trying to align themselves with Dowell. In this one particular case, I showed you that you had this one individual that went to him to ask to get money so that they can get financing for their movie. And apparently there was no issue with that. So, you know, these things happen like this all the time, literally all the time. They happen all the time. And it's like I said, again, it's not just in the Hebrew world. It's in Christian. It's all over. You'll find this, period. All over. You'll find it where it just happens literally all the time, where people will flip and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, y'all, we all come into the house, to the Bible house, because you're all based on the Bible at the end of the day. And this is what happens when you build your life on simple belief, sanctioned belief, I should say, sanctioned belief. In this case, we're talking about the Bible. So, you know, Dowell is his own piece of work, you know, and like I said, but he has never, as far as I'm concerned, as far as what I've seen, he's been the same person, you know, and, you know, having the story about the child turning up like that. That's a very unfortunate situation. Like I said earlier, I'm glad that the child has been recovered, and our hopes is that the child will get the help that they need. But see, but don't allow yourself to get swooped in by some of these individuals on YouTube, wherever, that are now like just slamming them and all that. Because if you look at their histories, you'll see that they themselves used to be a part of that ministry or a part of a similar ministry. See, what you got to understand too is that people are okay with the cult life as long as they're benefiting from it. Let me say that again, and I may need to say it again. You have people out there that are okay with the cult life as long as they're benefiting from it. Let me say it one more time. People are okay with the cult life as long as they're benefiting from it. But the moment that cult life begins to bite them in the behind, now all of a sudden it's a bad thing. Now all of a sudden we got to come down on it. So the first question you got to ask is, well, what happened to you? Did any of your ideologies on these certain things that this person or that cult was teaching, did that change? Or are you just mad because they shortchanged you on something? And that's what you'll find a lot of people, they end up, and before someone try to read between the lines, I'm not talking about anybody in particular. What I'm saying is that this is something I've seen over many years. So what you're hearing coming out of my mouth is based on a whole collage of experiences that I've seen, not only in the Hebrew space, but just in Christianity, in the Bible believing world. I've seen this happen numerous times where, someone will leave a cult, they will leave a church or whatever, and say all this rotten stuff about it. Oh, this pastor, he's horrible, he's ridiculous, he's evil, and all this stuff, right? But then you find out, well, they didn't give him his last check. Well, he was really wanting to have a ministry, but the pastor wasn't really trying to fund his ministry. That's usually what it comes down to. And then what they do is try to bring you in. And what they do is they'll look for people who are the detractors of that ministry, and they'll try to boo up with them and try to say, see, let me get all these people together so we can attack this guy. See, I'm going to show him something. But in reality, you find out it wasn't that they had a awakening experience. It's just they got a simple wake up call that a cult, whatever, it cares ultimately about itself. They don't care about anybody, and hands are bitten all the time in that space. So anyway, that was pretty much what I want to kind of say on that, as far as that whole situation is concerned when it comes to cults of convenience. And I think that my hope is that whatever you are in, that going back to the example, please, if you joined us just now or just maybe a few minutes ago, go back to the beginning where I was talking about this particular slide here. Just go back here because we're getting ready to take a break here. Again, all of these things that you see on the screen, they're all based on the Bible, but they all have their own belief systems. The Bible, at the end of the day, if itself is just it's a very loose guideline, if you will, for all of these different belief systems to play within. Do you understand what I'm saying? But they may not agree. A lot of these groups may disagree with each other on numerous things, but at the end of the day, they all agree on one document. And if that document itself isn't an absolute, it can be a very dangerous thing, because it produces all of these different things that you see here before you. And it's not good at all, so, but anyway, that's it. And, that's all I want to say on that. So what we're going to do now, let me take a break here. And then when we come back, we're going to take a listen or a look at this thing, about, Project 2025. I think you'll find, somewhat interesting, and, we'll just get into that. Okay. All right. So let me take a break here and let's go.
When the world awakes, a man stands tall, never hesitates. He's a gentleman with a heart so pure. In his love, we all can find a cure. In his home, he provides and protects with unwavering love. He never neglects his woman, his rod, his shining star. He'll go to the ends, no matter how far. Through the trials and the darkest days, a good man's love never strays. He's there for his children, guiding their way, teaching them kindness each and every day. In his home, he provides and protects with unwavering love. He never neglects his woman, his rod, his shining star. He'll go to the ends, no matter how far. In the morning light, when the world awakes, a man stands tall, never hesitates. He's a gentleman with a heart so pure. In his love, we all can find a cure. In his love, we all can find a cure. In his home, he provides and protects with unwavering love. He never neglects his woman, his rod, his shining star. He'll go to the ends, no matter how far. In the morning light, when the world
All right.
awakes,
Thank you guys for tuning in again. Really appreciate it.
never hesitates. He's a gentleman with a heart so pure.
We're going to get into now the second thing we're going to talk about. This is a song I actually wrote. It's simply called Good Men. And I'll probably release it at some point. But yeah, it's called, the name of this song is called Good Men. All right, so let's go ahead and get back into it. And we're going to talk about this whole thing about Project 2025 and just, you know, why it's, you know, what you're seeing out here is, you know, it's just such a huge scare tactic that they're running on particularly black folks when it comes to trying to get black people scared to the polls. You know, if you go to the community page that let me get to my channel here. Let me see, because I want you to see what I posted here. Right here. Okay, here we go. Not that. Okay, here we go. All right, so this is what I was talking about earlier, and I find this to be interesting. How prior to the debate, there was you know, nobody was really talking about this thing called Project 2025, you know, but after the debate, all of a sudden they started talking about it. They started talking about it and ramping it up. And like we said, even you had what's her face, Taraji, you know, she got up there and was saying her thing. Y'all, you better listen to Project 2025. You know, all this stuff, right? And then after that, it's like, coming up next, we got Sexy Red in the house, everybody. It's like, okay, are you really going to take political advice from someone? You know, it's just crazy. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. But, you know, the media is really making a big deal about it and all that stuff and say, oh, you know, we got women out here that are taking the stands, you know, for this stuff here, because black people, they need to understand how serious this is. And I'm sitting up here like, okay, well, if it was that serious, then why weren't y'all talking about it before the debate? Well, the reason why they weren't talking about it before the debate, because I don't know. Let me just say this. Y'all, listen, all of this panic that you're seeing coming from the Democrats, and again, I don't care about Democrats or Republicans, okay? Let me just lay that all out, okay? So don't think I'm sitting up here trying to make a case for Trump or anybody, okay? We're just sitting on the side, eating our popcorn, and we're looking at all of it, okay? That's all we're doing here. Okay, so, excuse me. But if you think for one moment, and let's use our brains. I want you to turn your brain chip on for a second. If you think for one moment that all of a sudden the Democrats are now just discovering that they got a problem with Biden, you know, and that they needed, you think they had to wait until the debate in order to figure that out? You yourself are you just dumb, you dumber than Biden on that one. I mean, literally, how many videos do we need to see of Biden losing his train of thought? He's all over the place, fumbling and bumbling, falling off bicycles, falling off the steps and falling off curbs and all this stuff. I mean, the man he's old. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it ain't funny. I mean, he's old. This man like 80, was he like 80 years old? You know what I'm saying? The man old. He old. So for anybody to sit up here to act like, oh my God, I didn't know. They knew. Y'all, they already knew. So all of this that you're seeing right now is one big skit. It's one big skit. All right, that's what it is. And so nobody was surprised. So let's just cut the crap on that one. All right. But in the meantime, that's not stopping people like Joy Reid out here, who's absolutely out, MSNBC's Joy Reid, who's out here losing her mind. In this case, losing her wig, losing her Trump wig. Someone said, you know, it was one of those things. It's like, you can't unsee it now. Because I would see her wearing this wig. I never thought, I said, wow, that's like Trump. Yeah, it's a Trump wig. Well, someone confronted her about that on the street, and then she went back to being bald again. Well, anyway, I played for y'all in the last video we posted on our platform. I played for you a video that she did. But here's another one that she just posted. When I tell you this woman is losing her mind, and apparently her wig too. I mean, it's almost 3.5 minutes long. I can't take it. So you're just going to listen to a little bit of it, and that's it. I want you to listen to this woman.
Y'all just tell me who the nominee is going to be. Let me know when you guys are finished fighting amongst yourselves who I got to vote for in November to keep Hitler out the White House. That's all I want to know. Who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. Y'all do your thing. Play in traffic all you want in front of these Republicans, acting a fool in front of these people instead of privately declaring your stuff. But don't text me no more, because I'm not taking no more of these texts. Just let me know when you guys are finished figuring it out, Democrats, because I know y'all the freak out people. Go ahead and freak out, have your conversation, and then let me know who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House. That's it. I'm done. Oh, and by the way, if it's Biden in a coma, I'm going to vote for Biden in a coma. I don't even really particularly like the guy. A lot of his policies, don't like him. He's not Donald Trump, right? Yeah. Hitler, White House, we keeping him out. Keeping Project 2025 out. That's all I care about. Up and down the ballot, from the rooter to the tutor. School board, all the way up to White House and everything in between. Governors, members of Congress. I'm just going to vote all the way down to keep these people out. The Project 2025 thing is the whole Republican Party. At this point, it's not about Biden. It is not about him. It's above me now. There's a Best Western next door. It is about keeping Donald Trump and his Project 2025 friends out of power.
Okay. Like I said, I can't take any more from her. I literally cannot. I mean, you got these black women out here, man. When I tell you they are losing their mind, I'm talking about political black women. They are losing their minds right now over this. It's really, really something to watch. Here's this is a church. I don't even know. I just don't even know. I don't even know. You know, when the church gets involved in this, you know it's bad. Listen to this. Listen to this.
Now you understand that it ain't about Joe Biden. It's about the fact that they also know that if Joe Biden gets reelected in November, at his age and stage, he probably won't stay in the presidency for another 4 years. And if he doesn't, guess who emerges back to the seat of the presidency? Another African American, and this time it's a sister who went to Howard University, who's an AKA. Y'all may as well shout back at me in here. I need about 50 people to stand on your feet to say, that's intelligence. You gotta read between the lines. That's the greatest fear right here. Because if this happens, we can reclaim DEI. We can reclaim critical race theory and put our content back in textbooks to teach the truth about a racist history in America. If this happens, we can reclaim the Supreme Court, because right now they control the Supreme Court and they will put 2 more judges on it to make sure we go back to the plantation. I want to ask, who here wants to go back to the plantation? Tell somebody it's not time to go back.
You on a plantation already, man. And you're Chicken George. Anyway, let's move on here. There was another video that I have here. Oh, this is another one. This is another church. Oh, they even got the churches going, man, on this. They even got the churches. They activating. They have become Voltron, y'all. They become Voltron. Take a look. Take a listen.
Oh, we're running. How many of you know that even on today, that Donald Trump, hallelujah, he got 34 counts, and he's a felon. How many of you know that, hallelujah, that a felon really can't even supposed to be running for a president? Is that right? He really is considered a 3-time loser. Hallelujah, Jesus. But in the state of New York, we showed him, hallelujah, hey, God, hallelujah, that nobody gets away. So we're running. The prayers of the righteous avail as much. The prayers of the righteous avail as much. Y'all better act like y'all know. Hallelujah.
But see, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is the level of engagement that they expect black folks to hold on. This is how black folks, they say, engage. Unfortunately, there are many of our people that won't read. We won't look at the details, but we are sure get down in church. Hallelujah. The prayers of the righteous availeth much. because they got Donald Trump. And I can show you a lot of videos that even on the other side of the aisle where they just as crazy. So don't think for one moment it's just coming from the black folks. Let me show y'all this. This is a video. It's not really related, but it makes a point that I want to make as I go into this final conversation we're going to have here. I want y'all to take a look at this one. Okay, so the claim is being made here in this video that, oh my goodness, talking about the right? The jab, that they're noticing that when they go to the graveyard, the graves of people who got the jab, if you take a meter, you're able to pick up a signal out of what they quote unquote put in the jab. Okay. And so there's kind of a little bit of ounce of truth maybe in that, but I want you to watch this video real quick. Okay. Cause this is the claim that they're coming from. Okay.
Look guys, gone in 2021.
Wait.
It's a wild guess why, but
Look.
We're running
binary codes
here, guys, off the
get,
thing.
Get away from me.
Guys, we're right here at the cemetery, and this person was gone in 2023, and we're collecting binary codes. We have both of our phones on airplane mode, so it collects no binary codes at all. But when you get close to her grave, look, you had a number right there. Get close. Look, 2022, guys.
Okay, so
binary codes up the ass right there.
Okay, so this guy is making a claim that, oh my goodness, it's picking up radio frequencies. It's picking up frequencies right now from this grave because they got they had the vaccine, right? That's what the claim is. Now he just mentioned that they had it on airplane mode, but even if you have it on airplane mode, there's still a certain level of voltage and stuff that's coming out of it. If you're going to take a digital RF meter and you're trying to measure something, you don't have the cell phone in the same hand as the meter. Okay, you don't do that. You don't do that. But for people who don't take the time to look at things, you just automatically assume, oh my goodness, I'm picking up something and all that. You're not looking because you're caught up in the hype. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the point I wanted to make with that. I saw that. I was like, wait a minute. He got the cell phone in his, he's got the cell phone in the same hand. No wonder he picking up stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I'm trying to say here. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Okay. So anyway, Project 2025, let me get a video because again, we're going to go to the source. Okay. Let's go to the source and let's listen to how it's described. What is Project 2025? Okay. So let me get this video up. It's a short video. It gets right to the point and then we're going to go from there. Okay. So we're just going to clear all this up really quick here and make it simple. I'm just kind of scrolling, trying to find the video because I bookmarked it so that we can have it and look at it. So let me see here. It's almost there. Project 2025. Oh, it's a conspiracy. They must have removed it. No, I'm just playing. Here it is. I got it. Okay, so this video here is about 3.5 minutes long. And let's take a listen here. So Project 2025, it basically originated from a think tank, a conservative think tank by the name of the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation has been around for umpteen years. They've been around for a very long time. So without further ado, let's listen to what the overall, the outline of Project 2025. Let's listen.
And this administrative state, it has a clear liberal slant. In fact, according to data from the Federal Elections Commission, quote, a stunning 95% of political donations from federal employees went to Democratic liberal candidates. 95%. And so, with the massive growth of the federal government over the past 100 plus years, this has resulted in what some people refer to as the fourth branch of government. the bureaucratic branch, which is now dominated by liberal ideology. And this branch is large. Here's in fact how it's described over in the pages of the National Affairs magazine. Quote, "It is fitting that we refer to the administrative state as a state, for it has become a sovereign power unto itself, an imperium in imperio, regulating virtually every dimension of our lives. Its nearly 450 agencies are manned by legions of bureaucrats, now numbering almost 2.7 million. And so, millions of liberal bureaucrats entrenched within the federal government, irrespective of who actually resides in the White House. And it's exactly this scenario which has led to the birth of something called the Project 2025 initiative. This is a very, very large-scale project that was launched by the Heritage Foundation, which, for your reference, is a conservative policy think tank. And Project 2025, otherwise known as the Presidential Transition Project, it aims to gut the federal government of its current progressive bureaucrats and replace them with conservative bureaucrats. And this initiative, which, just for your reference, is already well into full swing, it aims to do most of the heavy lifting prior to the actual election, such that if a Republican were to, in fact, get elected into the White House, they would have a database of conservative personnel to essentially deconstruct the administrative state starting on day one, as well as have in place a training program in order to recruit ever more people. And so, in order to get a better idea of how Project 2025 will work in practice, we took the opportunity to speak with Mr. Spencer Cradian, who is the Associate Director of the project over at the Heritage Foundation. And he broke down for us exactly what they're doing to dismantle the administrative state, as well as what people across America can do if they wish to get involved. And take a listen. Spencer, thank you so much for joining us. Maybe to start with, for the audience members who aren't aware of what it is, can you give a sort of a high-level overview of what Project 2025 is?
Sure. So Project 2025, or the 2025 Presidential Transition Project, that's the full name, it really is the conservative movement's effort to get ready for the next conservative president. It feels like in Washington, D.C., we're always playing an away game. We are always at a deficit compared to how the left is so good at going into government. So what this project is, it's 4 pillars. The first pillar is our policy book called Mandate for Leadership. This outlines what a conservative success looks like at each federal agency. We have a second pillar, which is our presidential personnel database. We're doing the work ahead of time and recruiting people ahead of time to come to Washington and work for the next conservative president. The third pillar is our Presidential Administration Academy. That is training people up ahead of time so that we are ready to hit the ground running when we come to Washington with the next conservative president in 2025. And then the fourth pillar is what we call the playbook. And that's a transition plan for each federal agency so that we'll be ready to hit the ground running. And all of these are available at project2025.org. That's how folks can get involved. I should mention that.
Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of the project and what they're doing. So basically, what he described when earlier in that little video clip that I shared with you, that what a lot of people don't realize, and believe it or not, Joy Reid, that clip that I just showed you, she kind of alluded to that fact that a lot of the bureaucracy in DC is largely made up of people that tend to lean to the left. And when I say bureaucracy, I'm talking about these different, the State Department, the Department of Transportation, the Department of Agriculture, all these different departments and the employees. Think about it. If you've ever been in DC, a lot of these employees tend to be, liberal, or they tend to vote Democrat. Sorry. You're in DC, so that means there's a high percentage of people that look like us that work in those places. And who do we vote for the most? Democrats. So a good significant portion of what we currently have right now in the government DC bureaucracy is made up of people who tend to support the left. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, with the Heritage Foundation, with Project 2025, what they're proposing is, like he just said, hey, we want to change that. So instead of it being all Democrats or all people who tend to lean to the left, we want to come in and change that to now you got people who tend to be more conservative or people who lean to the right. That's all that they're doing. Now, everything you're seeing, like people like Taraji and all that, they want to pinpoint some of the things that conservatives, like, anti-abortion and some of these other things, or not really fans of LGBT or whatever. They just highlight, because when they're dealing with simple minds, unfortunately, I'm just saying that because that's how they see a lot of our people, simple minds. So what they do is they'll just water it down to, if you vote for them, they're going to start bringing back, Jim Crow. That's going to happen. Slavery is going to happen. And they're going to put more and more black people back in prisons. And, and they highlight some of these things that you may hear conservatives talk about, but do they really manifest? Okay. So again, I want to be very clear because I got to keep people engaged. And as I'm talking here, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying, hey, y'all, the conservatives, they're going to clean this up. They're going to make this right. And you need to support them. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is that a bureaucracy replacing a bureaucracy is still a bureaucracy. It's not going to change. Nothing's changing. If you want to understand who actually controls DC, it ain't the Democrats. It ain't the Republicans. It's corporations. It's businesses that control DC, period. The only reason why we have a left versus right is to keep you as the citizens engaged in the mess, because otherwise they have to legitimize it to get people engaged. So it's just like a sport. You got to have a home team, and you got to have two opposing teams. As long as you got two opposing teams, you keep people engaged, right? Some people are going to lean for one team. The other people are going to lean to the other team. Well, politics is no different. So it's at the end of the day, it's the business world that controls all of this. Okay. So they're talking about right now, for example, Project 2025. Well, have you heard of Project 2021 or Agenda 2021? Have you heard of Project 2030? Have you heard of that one? We've been talking about that off and on. We will talk about it. Have you seen the details in that? If they were that serious about getting black folks to be invested enough to read the fine print on stuff, if this dusty pastor that we saw, he got up there on this board, make sure you read Project 2025. Did he have make sure you read Project 2030? I'll talk a little bit about it in a moment. Did he have anything about reading Project 2030? Did he have anything on there about reading Project 2021? Did he have anything on there? And these projects, amongst the many things that these projects that include in there, is compulsory vaccines. That's one of the things that's included in these other projects, that you have Democrats and Republicans that are both part of it. See, Republicans don't escape this as well, because here you have Donald Trump that got up here. He considers himself the founder, or he considers himself like the founder of the vaccine. He literally was calling himself that, something to that effect. And he's like, yes, you got to take the vaccine. You got to take the vaccine and all of that. So Trump was the one that was promoting this stuff. See, you got some people on the right, they forget about that. Trump was promoting the vaccine. And you had a lot of people on the left and the right that was focused on this stuff. But I ain't hear now one of these dusty behind Negro preachers getting up here making the issue that when it was pressed for people, when people start pressing these companies to give us the ingredients list of what's in these, in these jabs, you know what they did? They say, here it is. And they showed them the ingredients list. Guess what? It was a big nothing. It was literally pages and pages of absolutely nothing. They blanked it all out. They didn't show not one ingredient. They didn't show any of it. See, we followed this whole thing from the rooter to the tutor, like she said, right? We followed this thing from the beginning. And in the beginning, they weren't trying to tell anything. So you know what had to happen? You had to have people in the medical field, top people that got PhDs and all this other stuff. I mean, they've been world renowned. They said, okay, we're going to look into this. And you know what they did? They had to run it through their own system, send it away to labs to find out what the heck was in it. I ain't seen now one black doctor organization do that at all. Taraji, you there? Taraji, did you ask about that? Did you inquire about that? That's part of Project 2030. Did you inquire about that? Again, these other projects and agendas, these other things, you have Democrats and Republicans that are part of this stuff. You ever heard of the World Economic Forum? The World Economic Forum, let me show you this real quick here. World Economic Forum. Okay, just to give you just a little idea of what you're dealing with. World Economic Forum. Forum. Here you got the Prime Minister of the UK and his party. And then you got the opposing party, the opposition party, right over here to your right. Well, guess what? They're both of them are part of the World Economic Forum. So do you really think that both of these sides are basically going to be fighting against each other for real? No. The World Economic Forum, they're putting out the agenda on what people should be doing and how the world as we know it, the direction it's going to go. So it doesn't matter. You got Democrats and Republicans that are part of these agendas, and they're both benefiting because they're all getting their support and their funding from businesses. I have a video here. It's kind of a silent video, but we'll just look through it real quick. I forgot about this one here. Let me play this video here. This guy here, this video is about 5 minutes long. I want you to look at it. And this gentleman, he's breaking down this is a video that was on the it was on the World Economic Forum's webpage, and a lot of people who are not part of the non-reader population, they started finding out. And when people started finding out, they said, oh snap, we got to take the video down. Well, thankfully, people like this, he was like, nah, we're going to capture this thing. And that he did. So this is the video that was on the World Economic Forum's page talking about Project 2030. I want you to take a listen.
Social media of the World Economic Forum. It's 8 predictions for the world in 2030. They were very proud of this video until the backlash came out because it's actually quite an unpopular idea. Now, their plans are going forward. They're just being a little less open about it. Here we have the video. 8 predictions for the world in 2030. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent and it'll be delivered by drone. The US won't be the world's leading superpower. A handful of countries will dominate. Wait, we're actually seeing that happen in real time. You won't die waiting for an organ donor. We won't transplant organs, we'll print ones instead. Or we'll tell you they're being printed, but we're actually harvesting them from Uyghur Muslims in Western China. You'll eat much less meat. An occasional treat, not a staple, they say. For the good of the environment and our health. This is about our health. It's not your health anymore. It's our health. 1 billion people will be displaced by climate change. We will have to do a better job at welcoming and integrating refugees. Now, these refugees aren't coming over because of climate change. They're coming over because of economic reasons. They're coming over for reasons of wars being waged in countries.
Oh, I can elaborate on that one, but I'm going to let him speak.
It's the will of the peoples of these countries. Polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide. There will be global price on carbon. This will help make fossil fuels history. The goal of taxing carbon is to get rid of carbon. That's the idea. It's just like taxing cigarette smokers. It'll make smoking so expensive they won't do it anymore. What happens when you tax income? I forget what happens there. You could be preparing to go to Mars. Scientists will have worked out how to keep you healthy in space. The start of a journey to find alien life. I think we should really take care of what's going on at home. Right. Sure, alien life, that's an interesting thing, but when people are starving because of these people, these World Economic Forum types, I think we should concentrate on maybe unseating them and feeding our people before thinking out of things. Just thought. Western values will have been tested to the breaking point. Now, this is interesting. Tested to the breaking point. Who's breaking Western values, and what are Western values? Western values such as democratic societies.
Well, I'll stop them there because Western values, yes, I mean they're not exactly been good at all, you know. But the question is, what values are replacing? What's the next value system that they're bringing in? Well, we were already getting hints and clues of that right now. Is a value system that that basically lowers the value of life. You know, one that is basically where people are, you know, what we just saw, you know, again, I have to talk very, you know, choppy here because of the platform we're on, as we just witnessed a few years ago. You know, this was part what Bill Gates put out, that basically that there needs to be a population reduction, right? And this is something that they have been very clear and very open about for a very long time, starting with the elderly. Okay, they've been very clear about this. And, you know, if you follow this platform, we have given many countless examples talking about starting in Africa, looking at the AIDS vaccine and how that came about. The AIDS virus, where did they use? They went into Congo and, you know, yep, they started with monkeys, but then they moved on to the local population and started testing and putting it on them and all these different diseases and stuff. Africa in of itself is a very healthy continent, and it would be the standard on the earth if it wasn't for these demonic people going there and using the natives and using the people that are of that soil as testing guinea pigs. But that's all the sicknesses and the diseases that you hear coming out of Africa. They can all be traced back to what these Westerners did in terms of testing, using them as testing as guinea pigs. Africa in itself is not a dirty, stinking, filthy continent, as most people would like to put out there. It's quite the opposite. There's a lot of our medicines come out of the continent. A lot of the pharmaceutical companies, they use ingredients that come out of the continent. So it can't be that bad where you go into a place that's dirty, sick, and dying, but yet you got to go there to get your medicines. Figure that one out for me and get back to me. But anyway, that's just kind of in a nutshell, a high view of what Project 2030 is. Now, Project 2030, again, is part of the World Economic Forum, which includes both Democrats, Republicans, and other groups as well. I had this wasn't the video, but I wanted to show that one. I almost forgot about that one. But this video here will show you all the partners of the World Economic Forum. It's a long video. Well, I ain't gonna say it's long. It's about 7 minutes long, but we'll just let it play. There's no audio, but I'll just kind of talk through it real quick here. These are all the business partners, strategic business partners of the World Economic Forum. So I'm just AARP. You got Abbott Laboratories, and they're going to zoom in here. I'm not even controlling this at all. They got 80 acres farms. What about 40 acres? Anyway, you got Access Holding. You got, I'm trying to name the ones that Adobe, Aegon, I guess AES, African Risk Capacity, Apple, ARM, AIG, Airbus, Astra. You got AstraZeneca. You got all these. See, these are all, and they're just in the A's. It goes all the way to Z. It goes all the way to Z. These are all the business partners. These are all the businesses of the earth that have gotten together, and they are laying out the agenda, not just for America, but for the entire world. Okay, these are the ones that are you're not going to hear the scary people talking about. They're not going to mention that. but they want you to get scared. Oh no, the bureaucrats are changing up. They're going from Democrats or left leaning. Now all of a sudden they're going to put conservatives in there. But these are the businesses that control both sides. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. So you can invest in all you want. I was talking to someone, like a young man I was speaking to the other day, and he was talking about how he's going to vote for Biden because, you know, he's the first politician that actually did what he said he was going to do. He said that he had like $80,000 worth of school debt that was forgiven. So he's going to vote for Biden for another 4 years on that. And then I explained to him that, yeah, okay, I understand that, and I get it. You do you ultimately, but you do understand that he's not Thanos. He's not snapping his fingers and it just disappears. You're going to be taxed on that on the back end, because you can look any article up. It'll tell you that how is that being paid when they forgive school loans. What's really happening is someone's got to pay that. So what happens is it goes in the form of taxes. So you're going to start seeing taxes go up in different areas where you may not pay the piper on the front end, but on the back end, you will. You understand what I'm saying? And not just you, but your children will be paying for this. So don't think for one moment, oh, I don't have this bill. You may not have it directly, but indirectly you will. Okay. But this is what they're able to get away with this stuff with people who are not engaged, who won't read, who won't ask questions. They're able to get away with this kind of foolishness. All right, here's another video here, short one. This is another person for the World Economic Forum. I want you just so you can hear and see how these people are thinking here. Let's take a quick listen. This video is only 32 seconds long. Listen.
Yes, carbon taxes already cover about 25% of global emissions, right? We should actually look at scaling this, right, to cover all 100% of carbon emissions. And beyond carbon, let's think about other aspects of nature that are easier to quantify. We probably will not be able to quantify everything on day one, but what about water, right? That's also quite possible for us to start integrating systematically into current trading carbon pricing mechanisms. Yes, carbon taxes already.
So basically what she's saying is like quantifying things like water, you know, different things. They're probably even talking about air itself and figuring out how can we tax these things. This is how control freakish these people are. They want to control everything. This is how crazy it is. But this is how these people are thinking here. All right, let me get on to a couple of things here and then we're done. Let me get right here and back to keynote. All right, so it doesn't matter. When I'm showing you here, you had Democrats and Republicans supporting these same policies. Now, this is why I emphatically try to tell our people, listen, you can scream, you can holler, and this is where people usually start getting mad and want to unsubscribe and all this other stuff. But I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. You're not getting any reparations. You're not getting it. I had a couple of people say, see, it's you old folks, you old Negroes. See, y'all say that kind of stuff. I may be older, but I know what I'm talking about. And what I just showed you in not that last video, but the video before that, that's just some of the businesses, of the many businesses that control this country. This, what we call the United States, is one big corporation. It's a corporation that contains a whole bunch of smaller corporations. They're all businesses and banks. They don't care about your Negro behind. They don't. They do not care about you. You are an asset. All right. Even the name black, when you say black community, it's a legal term. All right. When they call you black, they're looking at you from a legal standpoint. What we did is took it and say, we's black, like that's ours. But when they say it, they're looking at you from a legal standpoint. Do you understand what I'm saying? And a financial standpoint. That's why they came up with it. When they're doing their books, you want to be where? You want to be in the black, right? And what were black people, what was our responsibility in this country when we was out there picking that cotton? To make sure that their books stay in the black. That's why they called you black, because your behind would keep them in the black. That's why they called you that. And what we doing? I'm black and I'm proud. Okay. They're like, good, keep saying it. Meanwhile, keep doing all what you're doing to keep us nice and rich. Get on TikTok, keep doing all them dances, all that music and stuff you do. Keep making all that music. We're going to take it and we're going to control it. I was telling my son just yesterday, talking about, I said, I'm so tired of seeing some of these people. I'm talking about now in the continent of Africa now, that these are inventors that come up with stuff. I'm talking about, this isn't in the continent of Africa. I've seen this. They said, I came up with this engine that can operate 100% on water. And I've seen this a lot in Africa, but I've seen it over here too. I've come up with this invention that can create electricity from air or something like that. And they will get on TikTok and go through give you the whole schematic and show you everything on how it works. And I'm like, why the heck are you doing this? Why are you out here showing everything? And then you listen to them, they're like, well, my goal is that that one day that I'll get picked up by somebody. Oh, you daggone right, you're going to get picked up. You're going to get picked up and your body will be dropped off somewhere. Anyway, so here you got Democrats and Republicans that are behind policies like this, throwing billions and billions of dollars over to the Ukraine. These are Democrats and Republicans. But you're not going to hear Joy Reid losing her Trump wig over that. Democrats and Republicans are behind this stuff. Billions of dollars that could go take care of stuff that's right here in this country. They don't care. They're not going to stop this just because you protesting or you got a tweet that you're putting out that went viral. They don't care because your tweet is on their stuff. You don't even own the tweet. You don't even own the platform that the tweet is on. But you think somehow you're going to convince them to fork over billions of dollars for you. You really think that? You were brought over in no control of your own. You were brought over in a boat to a corporation. You are in a business. You are in a business. We are living in a corporation. That's why you saw in Project 2030, they said you won't own anything and you will be happy. Their goal is to convert as many people as possible from landowners to renters. I live here in the Phoenix area. I could tell you right now, they done almost stop building communities now where it's houses that you can buy. I mean, they still buy some stuff, right? They still, these still have communities where you can buy homes, but I'm starting to see a whole lot of communities now that they're building right now where it ain't an option to buy. You can only rent them. And I'm looking at the homes. They are all so tight and close together. It's like a concentration camp. I mean, they're nice, but they so daggone packed together. I'm like, dang, if you pass gas, the whole community will hear. That's how close they are. But they're building these communities now. They're 100% rental communities. And then they have one community here in the Phoenix area where they don't even allow cars. You're not allowed to have a car. I don't know, the rent is whatever it is. I don't know what the rent for that area is pretty good, but they don't allow cars. And everything's all packed in and everything. This is the trend that they're going right now. Do you understand what I'm saying? The goal is for nobody to own anything. What we experienced, what was that, in the early 2000s? You remember the whole thing about the no interest loans and all that? Well, you had Democrats and Republicans that were pushing that. So it doesn't matter if you got a Republican or a conservative bureaucracy or a liberal one. They both push the same policies. It doesn't matter. So that's one example here. Here's another thing here. This is the last slide I have. I've talked about this every now and then, but BDS. Okay, this is dealing with the BDS that's still with the whole Gaza thing. It's basically this, when they say anti-BDS, someone can look that up, maybe put in the chat for me what BDS stands for. But basically what BDS is, these are organizations that are pro-Palestinian, right? Or they're anti-Zionism. Okay. So BDS are anti-Zionist beliefs. That's pretty much what that BDS, that's what it stands for, right? Now, we've said this before and we'll continue to say it. is that you have a number of states. In this particular case, what you're looking at is a map that shows, as of the time of this map, I don't know when this map was done, we have roughly 27 states that have an anti-BDS legislation. What does that mean? That means that if you have a contract with any of these states that you see shaded in blue, if you have a contract with them, in some cases, if you are a college student and you are on state property and you are saying things that are anti-Israel, there are penalties that you will have to pay for that. If you're someone that has a contract, let's say with the state can come in and cancel that contract immediately because you're talking about Israel. Not about America, but about Israel. I ain't hear Joy Reid mention anything about that. She ain't scared. Taraji, she ain't mentioned nothing about that. But oh my goodness, we better hurry up and we got to get together and stop Project 2025. I just mentioned 2 other projects and agendas that are happening right now. And this one really pisses me off, and because I just talked about this. Because this particular project, which is part of Project 2030, resulted in the ending of many of y'all loved ones. But Taraji couldn't come up and say anything about that one, right? She couldn't comment on that. It just amazes me how dumb and stupid people can be in this day and age with all this technology. We got all this AI stuff. And people just, thank you, Wanea. What is it? Boycott, divestment, and sanctions. That's what that means. We got all of this access to technology. See how quick she was able to pull that up? People can do that just like that. But they refuse to do so. Because you want to stay in your land of ignorance. You want to be led by emotions and all of that stuff. That's what you want to be led by. But when you're faced with the reality that, listen, I better start looking this stuff up on my own. I better start researching this stuff on my own. That lazy chip for many of our people, it stays active and people just don't want to get out of it. You want somebody to tell you what to do. You want somebody to tell you what to think. When I tell you, going back to what we were talking about earlier, you know, as far as like what I've noticed and things I've seen in the Hebrew space and all of that, I'm only telling you maybe 2% of what I know on a lot of these different ministries and people and individuals and stuff. I ain't no CIA, I ain't no MI6, I ain't none of that. But I've told you, and I've said it a number of times, one of the biggest problems in this era, in this generation, is that people run their mouths too doggone much. And they put everything on the internet, and they think people ain't out here sitting up here taking notes and writing stuff down. So they feel they can say literally anything and think people ain't paying attention. Well, the truth is, a lot of people aren't. You can lie to people one day and the next day say something completely different, and people will be like, yeah, you're right. Whatever you say, you're right. So out of these 2 things, these topics we talked about, my encouragement to you is please, you need to start checking your foundation. You need to start really checking your foundation. And your foundation, and I'm going to say it loud and clear so that there's no misunderstanding here, your foundation of your life better not be the Bible. It better not be a political side. It cannot be that. If you're in this for the long haul, because otherwise you're going to be one confused individual going from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. It doesn't make you evil, but it does make you ignorant of a lot of things. Okay. Now, what I would like to do, since it's a holiday, is if someone would like to, if you would like to call in on anything that we've talked about in this broadcast, if you want to call in and give your 2 cents or your 3 cents or $1 or whatever, hey, go ahead and call in. Let me get this phone on here. If you want to call in, I'll turn the phone on here in a minute. I'm trying to get it up and running here. And it only takes about a minute or two for me to get that done. In the meantime, I'll have some music playing. I'll stick around here for a few moments here. Don't worry. I don't bite. Okay, I ain't gonna kill you. All right. Just don't be too much all over the place. But if you want to talk and you got something you want to add or say or whatever, go ahead and do so. Let me find this thingamajig here. Get my stuff together here, because I gotta have, when you have all these doggone windows up, man, it can get confusing very quickly here. Okay, let me get. Okay, let's bring that up here. Okay. Whoa. What's going on? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I got that on. And now let me go ahead and get the phone number up on the screen here. And like I said, if you want to call in and chat about anything that we've discussed here, maybe it's something that we didn't talk about and you just want to call in, go ahead and call that number. I'll hang around here for a few and let's see. Especially those, if this is your first time calling, you are definitely more than welcome to give us a call in, and and that's it. You don't even have to give your real name if you don't want to do that. That's fine. I got you. No problem. Like I said, but nobody's gonna. I don't record numbers and all that stuff, and I don't be doing any of that. Just having the phone line up here, and yeah, there you go. So the phone line is up. And if you want to call in, you can go ahead and give a call in at that phone number that you see on the screen there. It's 323-696-0250. Again, and we got it. A caller right now. Here we go. Hey, caller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, brother.
All right. How you doing today?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Doing just fine. What you got for us today?
So, it's regards to the ministry that you mentioned earlier in regards to the knives and the spear thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I know what you're talking about, and I saw that video that you posted on your community page. I saw it. At first, I didn't know what ministry they were referring to, but when I was like, you were mentioning knives and spears, I was like, my mind just flickered. I was like, oh, I know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't say I watched any of their ministry stuff, but I did watch some of their content when it came to the historical pieces.
Mm-hmm. We did too.
When it came to Africa and stuff, because at that time, and still now, I'm looking into African history. Looking at the Black presence of, African contributions. I'm a history person, so I love looking into that. And when you brought in the knives and spears, and you were talking about your reaction, how uncomfortable you were, I was like, it reminded me of the same reactions I had too.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first started, I went I think it was a long, long time ago. This was probably back when I was in high school. And I remember tuning into a live stream into their ministry's worship, as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, they were beating on the African drums, they were getting in it, and I noticed that, they were saying all these rhetoric things, like Yah, as they call it, Yah, slay them, destroy them, talking about the oppressors.
Yeah.
And they was like, Yah, slay them, destroy them, and even in the chat, I heard, I remember clear, this was fresh in my mind. I remember one person in the chat at that time say, and I quote, "Kill them all."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What in the world is going on?" And I'm like, "You're actually trying to summon God, summon Yah, the power of Yah, God, to slay your enemies." Like, I was like, "What type of like y'all are not planning to start like a slave revolt or anything?" But that was the hype. And then over time, that's when, as you mentioned, the weapons started to come in. I saw like spears and bow and arrows, knives, and I was like machetes, and I was like, okay, I can't see this no more. I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried. I don't know if they are still doing that. I don't know. But it was just like, even I posted in the chat. I said it was like, are you trying to recreate the Haitian Revolution and all these slave revolts? Honestly. Honestly, brother. Honestly. So I understand where you're coming from,
It's not, like I said, when I saw it, I literally have videos all on my computer right now. I could easily bring it up because it was like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, there's nothing about this that registers right to me. Nothing, absolutely nothing. And I said, we're gonna call it worship. If you're gonna call it worship, okay, but then don't do it online, because you're giving a lot of people a lot of real ammunition if they want to come in and start doing some investigation. I'm not calling for that. I'm just simply saying, that's something you generally don't want to put that on Main Street. But people are just, that's what it is. So anyway, I'm gonna get off this phone. Thank you for for calling in. The phone is blowing up today, so I'm gonna get off the phone. And thank you so much for calling, sister. You take care, okay?
You too, man. Take care.
All right, bye-bye. All right, so we got somebody else say, can she please ask her a question and move on so that others can get through? That's right. We only got one line here. So go ahead and keep that in mind, okay, when you're calling in. Okay, so we only got one line here. I don't have any setup where I got like 20 lines here and I got a whole bunch of people in my call center. I don't roll like that. But the line is open right now. Hurry up and call in. And it's an open line as far as what we were talking about in this broadcast, or if you just have a question about pretty much anything that we talk about on this platform. Okay, you can go ahead and now, yes, you can call in because the line is open. All right. I ain't blocking nothing. But yeah, I know for me, and I'm sure oh, there you go. All right, here we go. Hey, caller, can you hear me?
Yes, this is Deborah.
Hey, Deborah, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
All right. Do me a favor, turn down the volume for me in the background.
Okay, will do.
Mm-hmm.
All righty.
All right, ma'am. All right. What can I do for you today? What you got for us?
Yeah, you got a lot of really good topics today. And I just sat here and listened to you throughout this time you've been on. And you had a topic here as far as how the Hebrews and how we at one time we join all these individuals and be supportive to what they are doing. And then when things actually take place, and then they'll go after the same one they want support. You know what I'm saying? And they doing that a whole lot, and it's confusing because I'm like saying, but you supported that person in A, B, C, D, E, F,
Right.
Now in G, you're making all these videos against the same one you supported.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And another topic about the swords, I watched New Birth do this sword thing, and I thought it was a form of Satanism that they are not aware That is very dark. I'm going to be honest with you, brother. They are not aware how much darkness they are ushering in. And then they have the audacity to have it live. You know what I'm saying? And they be filming it in darkness, and then they running around here with knives and all this stuff, and they just don't understand that is a part of dark worshiping. You see what I'm saying? All of that. What does that have to do with God himself? You know what I'm saying? It just shows you that the Hebrews, this is me, and I consider myself a prophet in the wilderness. I have seen our people serving this creator out of their own darkness. And you spoke about how everybody's coming out of this same book. You are so 100 and you don't know it. Let me explain what I meant by that. I told the people, I'm a YouTuber, and I explained to those that I minister to, this is a book. Out of this one book, you got thousands of denominations, thousands of religions, and all different people come from this one book. But they go into it different. You know what I'm saying? They believe different. They interpret it different. It's because it's a book of words. You see what I'm saying? So I believe that the Bible is a book of words. And I believe God is the word. And I think it's separate. I think God is the word. And the book is words. Okay? There are people who need to see and believe. You see, they believe that if they go into this book and they read, oh, this is true, but see, God is the word. And I believe he lives in a space within us. And he lead and guide and teach us from that level. That's why they can have this Bible, and it can be a book of many words to many different denominations and different beliefs. It's because they're coming from one book, which is a word. But I believe God is the word. And this is why you get so many different beliefs and interpretations and denomination. But I'm going to tell you, brother, our Hebrew Israelite movement, it is off the chain. They're going in so many different directions. No peace in it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't find peace and joy. I'm online. 1 minute. I'm online. Okay.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna give you about 30 more seconds so I can get these other people on the phone. Okay. Go ahead and make your final point.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure I state that. But thank you so much.
And I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah. Well, so we got the phone line is back open again. You want to go ahead and give a call? Like I said, just understand again, I only got one phone line here, so I don't have multiple online. So go ahead and give us a call again if you like. And we're here. And but yeah, what I would encourage any and everybody to do is, again, and we got many videos on this, is on the knowing the history of the Bible, not so much reading it from Genesis to Revelation, but actually knowing the history, the people who actually put the Bible together, the historicity of the Bible. Why was it written? When was it written? Do the dates actually line up with actual factual history? Was the original languages actually in Hebrew? Where did Hebrew come from? These are a lot of things. When the Bible says Yahweh, who was Yahweh? There are a lot of questions that many of our people, we never had answered because we never asked. We never knew to ask when we were in the church world. And so a lot of these preachers, they just preach what's been told to them, and they just simply repeat it over and over again. Comer Ancestry, you can go ahead. Don't give up on me. All right. Got the phone line back open. Hey, caller, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am here.
Is this Comer?
Yes, it is.
All right. Yay! You persisted there. You got it. All right. You persisted.
Yes.
All right. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay, sir. I'm thankful to even get through. I listened to your
videos quite a bit. Now I'm glad to run across your page. I'll ask my questions so that others can go get on and ask their questions. But I was watching you heavily, you and your wife, during the pandemic. And I got a lot of good information from your pages and your videos, and I shared them all over the place. I was off of the computer for quite some time, off of the internet for quite some time. And when I came back, I noticed a difference. And you were teaching differently. I want to know what changed or what happened, but can you point me to a specific video of yours that you made telling the viewers what changed, or have you made a video?
Yes. What I'm gonna do is as we're talking right now, I'm gonna actually put it. I did a whole we have a whole series that we did. I'm bringing it up on the screen right now. Come on. Okay, here we go. Hold on, let me see. There we go. All right, so the name of the playlist is called Leaving the Hebrew Matrix. All right, and this is it.
Leaving the Hebrew Matrix.
Leaving the Hebrew Matrix. And let me see if I'm gonna pull up a specific one within that playlist that you can probably will be a good one to start off with. I probably will say this one right here that says "Rest Stop," detailing our journey so far. That's a good one where we kind of because we've done this, we've covered this topic like several times, but that's a good one. Let me see. There's another one we did too. I think it's called "Saying Goodbye." Hold on. Let me see. Goodbye.
I think maybe I'm behind because I don't see anything you're posting on the video, but live stream. But I'll definitely go back through.
Yeah. Okay.
So
it's
put it
this
in the
one.
chat. I'd love to.
It's this one called "Saying Goodbye." There you go. That I found it.
Saying Goodbye.
That's it. It just saying goodbye. And it's about 2.5 hours long, but it's that long because we're very, 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 very detailed. And so we
you guys always are, yes.
So if you start with that one, I would recommend that one first, and then after that, go to the playlist that's called "Leaving the Hebrew Matrix," and there are other videos as we kind of go forward. You find out something new, and then you just put it all in that list there, and that's just kind of a toolbox, if you will, of just our own personal discoveries. Ultimately, like we always say, it's up to individuals on what you want to believe or whatever, but this is just our little notebook for people. If you are interested, you can check it out.
Okay. Thank you so much. I do appreciate your teaching.
All right. Thank you.
Before and after.
All right. All right. Take care now. Thanks for calling. Bye. All right. Yeah. So great. So those are, you can start off with those videos there for those that are interested in that and wanting to kind of know, okay, I've been away for a while and I came back, and what happened? What's going on with y'all? Y'all used to be in the truth, but it sounds like y'all fell off. And yeah, we did fall off. We fell off the wagon. Absolutely. And decided to follow our Creator. Period. That's it. We don't want to be under anybody's banner. Our banner is our Creator and our Creator only. That's it. We're not out here encouraging you to worship any other god or goddess or deity or anything like that. But we are encouraging you as a listener, individual, to investigate and ask questions for yourself and really take an honest evaluation of what you claim that you believe in. One of the hardest and most difficult things for us is admitting to the fact that how much we actually got wrong. It's not easy. That's not easy. It's not easy to acknowledge that, wait a minute, you mean to tell me all this time not only have I been doing some things wrong or misinterpreting things wrong, but I've been telling other people the same way. You think that's easy? That's not easy. But you have to be honest with yourself. If you're about the truth, that's what matters at the end of the day. It's truth. Truth matters at the end of the day. Let the chips fall where it may, but you got to make sure that you stand on truth, period. That's it. And what you'll find a lot of times is that people, especially when you're older, you invested so much of your time in something like whatever it is your belief system is, it's too late for you. You think it's too late. You're like, I done told my children this and that. What am I going to look like now going back and telling them something different? What's my husband going to think if I say this or that? Well, I'll be honest with you. You're going to feel like a jackass. Okay. I'll just say it for you. You going to feel like a whole jackass. That's right. You sure will. But you know what? After you get that all out your system, you're going to realize, you know what? I feel a lot better about myself now than I ever did, because for the first time, I can honestly say that I'm really standing on truth. I don't have all the answers, but I'd much rather be in a position where I can get unadulterated answers than getting it through a filter from somebody just because, through some book or whatever. I want to get it for myself. And to do that, you got to put in some work, Anyway, still on. The phone is wide open. And anybody else want to call in? The phone line is wide open. Like I said, again, it's July the 4th. I don't know what y'all do on today. If you got a day off, and enjoy it. We're not going to get into this. Some people, man, it's like they always got to remind you, oh, Lord, don't you know it's July the 4th? Let me tell you, black people, let me remind you of the slavery days. Oh, Lord, oh, Lord, oh, Lord, we were slaves. Oh, Lord, we were slaves on the 4th. We were slaves on the 5th. I mean, it's just like, oh my goodness. Okay, we get it. Can I just enjoy the day off? How about that? Is it okay for me to grill something on the grill? I'm not honoring the God or deity. I'm hungry. I'm telling you, it's just great to be alive. It really is. But the phone, like I said, is still open. Tomorrow, I'm thinking I would like to do another live where we actually going to delve into this tendency I see where it's so much of a focus on white people and what they're doing and what they're saying and what they're doing and all this other stuff. I don't give a hold up, Dwayne. I don't give a, you know what? It just keeps trying to come out. I ain't trying to do that. But I don't care what these people are doing. Guess what the white people said? Guess what this old Karen said? I don't care. I don't care about these people like that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have people who are going to do some stupid stuff. You got Negroes that do some stupid stuff too. I don't care. My life isn't consumed with that. But what we're going to talk about, we've talked about this in the past, but we're going to talk about it again because it needs repeating, because you need to see the relationship between religion and this and what religion does to your brain. And basically I'll tell you now, it's literally creating grooves in your brain, grooves that are well worn. And the more you keep talking about white people, the white people, oh, the white people, oh, the white people, oh, the white people. Some of y'all got a whole highway. You don't even have a footpath. You got a whole highway, I-95 all going through, or you're in California or in LA, you got Interstate 5 just going straight through your brain. That's well worn about white people and everything white people doing. I can't say you're just obsessed with white people. But see, when you are operating at a much higher frequency, you get to think about and do all kinds of stuff, don't you? Literally, you start thinking about all kinds of stuff, things that you wanted to do all your life. All of a sudden, you start feeling free about it. Instead of, oh, judgment is coming. Oh, judgment is coming. Oh, judgment is coming. And what's happening is you're creating these deep grooves in your brain. Literally, that's what's happening. But I want y'all to hear from somebody who knows more about that than I do. And we'll talk about that and the impact it has, and then what can you do to get out of that. But religion, it does come with a health cost associated with that, and that's what we want to touch on tomorrow. And then I also want to introduce you a new product we're going to be adding to the Samba Tree store as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the phone off, because I think that's it. It got real quiet. It got hot for a second, then it turned off real quick. But that's all good. So anyway, we'll have it up next time. We go up online or whatever. So that's it, family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But like I said, I encourage you, like Comer just said on here, research. Don't be intimidated by the word research, by the way. There's a lot of people out there that get intimidated by it, and all they see is stacks of books and books and books and books and books and books. That's not necessarily that. Just be a person that's inquisitive. Try to be inquisitive. Start off with little things. Ask, okay, gee, I wonder why this is the way it is. I wonder why that's the way it is. Why is it that, in the case of the Bible, it says something about we're supposed to be raising people from the dead. Why is that not happening? Don't buy into what people say. Well, child, the reason why is because it ain't time yet. That's what it is. It ain't time for the dead to be raised yet. It ain't for us to do. We ain't in the land right now. That don't make no sense. That ain't what it says there. There's no qualifier that you got to be in the land or something like that. There's no qualifier for that. Also, let me just say this too, just going back to what I was saying earlier, talking about Dowell and what he does and all of that, and the different people, individuals. And again, I can't stress it enough. The answers are there. I'm not going to sit up here and lay everything out for you. I'm just simply saying, go back, look at all the people who attended that conference. Look at the people who were the people on the panel. Look at those individuals, and you're going to start seeing a pattern. They touching a lot of different ministries out here, right? But like, for example, here you have Ron Dalton today that's telling, yet again, he's back at raising money to get many of our people to relocate out of America to come with him to Africa, as if that's some kind of great escape. But Africa, as you know, has its own set of problems, and he wants to raise $1 million. I just saw this the other day. He wants to raise $1 million, and you got our people who are throwing money that way. It's like, okay, just quick thing. Let me just say this. If anybody, I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's me. If anybody approaches you and says, hey, listen, let's pull our money together and we're going to build a community. We're going to build the first question I want you to ask is this: do you have any experience in doing this? If the answer is no, then please just keep going trucking. If they don't have any experience in that at all, don't do it. Don't even do it. Well, it's a first time for everything, and I figure we can all learn together. Let me just say this. If you're using, especially for some people, and I noticed that at times, people who get involved with that, a lot of times people are using their retirement money. You work way too hard for that money. It's too late in the game to be taking your hard-earned money and throwing it in a maybe and a wish, or we could have. If you're going to do something like that, at least do it with individuals who have a long established history of successfully doing that. And then the second thing I would say is, if you're going to do something like that, make sure religion isn't the foundation of it. Because if religion is the foundation of it, I could tell you right now, I could tell you right now how that's going to end up. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You do not want to do that. And this system that we're in is a worldwide system. So it doesn't matter if you live here in the United States or you live in Africa or anywhere else. It doesn't matter. The system is still the system. I can tell you about the economic system throughout the continent of Africa. I'm not just saying this off the top of my head. I'm saying this because I'm in the know with some of the things that's going on the continent. Trust me when I say that. Okay. There's a lot of things I don't share on here, but I can personally tell you that part of what the World Economic Forum and stuff, what they're doing right now is that they're pushing the continent, especially to start diving into what you call it, cryptocurrencies. Okay, cryptocurrencies is coming, I mean, it's here in the United States. It ain't like fully switched over. But I can tell you, like on the continent of Africa, there are many countries right now that are fully engaged in that, where they're pushing the people to do 100% cryptocurrencies and stuff like that. And cryptocurrencies in the long term, and I was always saying in the short term, it's a good thing maybe to invest in it real quick and get out of it. But the long term, I'm telling you right now, once we switch over to cryptocurrencies, they control pretty much all your money. And they're starting with Africa. Okay, they're starting with Africa. There's a lot of countries in Africa they're forcing into the whole cryptocurrency space, and it's not a good thing. In the long run, it's not a good thing at all. That's why it's good to own your stuff, develop your own networks where you do your own bartering and trade. Do that as long as you can. But I'm just letting you know, this is where these countries are leading towards. And when you hear these individuals tell them about you need to come to Africa, they're leaving these things out. You know what I'm saying? And leaving this stuff out. They're not telling you because they probably don't even know. Okay, so anyway, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your weekend, whenever you're watching this. You take care, and I'll see you again real soon. Take care now.